Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Jamie Hughes Show. My name as always is Jamie Hughes and today I'm going to be giving you my review of The Isle of Dogs. Now if you want to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. And as always with my videos, this review may include spoilers, so you have now been warned. The Isle of Dogs is a really nice movie, and that's the best way to sum up this film, is that it's nice. I enjoyed this film, I went along for the ride and I enjoyed it for the most part, but there was just something a little bit off about this film. I don't know whether that was my own kind of the weight of expectation I was carrying going into this film, but yeah, just something felt a little bit kind of disjointed and a little bit off about this film. But I do want to talk about the positives in this movie first, and one of the best things about this film, as is everything else in a Wes Anderson movie, is the look and the style of this movie. It is visually stunning. Everything about this movie is breathtaking, and there are a lot of scenes in this movie where I just found myself getting lost in the scenery and in the background, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it distracted from like the main kind of focus of the movie, but like the characters and what they were talking about, but you just find yourself wandering around the sets and around the scenes, and it was really kind of, I don't want to say immersive, but it was really engaging to kind of see all of these colours and these textures and this style kind of emanate and resonate and kind of jump from the screen, because it's such a bright and colourful and, as I said, a beautiful looking film. And I want to mention it, I've seen a few people point it out on Twitter, but the damn symmetry in this film, the bloody symmetry is amazing in this film as well. Really, really great. As with the visual, the audio is also stunning in this movie. It had a really great soundtrack. It doesn't use a lot of kind of music, but the music choices it made are excellent. It's very similar to the stuff, if you've seen the trailer for this movie, it's the same songs they use in the trailer that they use in the main film as well, but they work really, really well. I especially like the kind of remix on the Christmas song, I think it is, though. That one, yeah, I can't whistle anymore, my mouth's dried out, but I really enjoyed that. It really added another layer. There's a lot of great sound effects in this movie as well that are really built up. I really love the kind of Japanese style music that was just slowly kind of played throughout this film and really drove this story forward. It was really great. It was a really great relationship and marriage between the audios and the audio and the visual in this movie. I'm going to talk about the story in a sec, but one of the highlights for me in this story is kind of the buddy comedy that you get and the real nice character progression we get between Atari Kobayashi and Chief. I really like their story arc and how they went about developing that relationship. I thought it was a real nice piece of storytelling, and it was really the heart of this movie, and I really enjoyed that. For the most part, I didn't enjoy this story, which I'll get onto now, but I thought that that was a really strong piece of storytelling, and I wanted to point it out before I move on to my next point, because for me, as I said, I enjoyed this movie. I did, but it did feel like there was something off about it, and I think a lot of that does come down to kind of the story and the narrative and how the narrative was driven forward. It felt very, I hate to use this term, but it felt very stagnant. It didn't feel like we really went anywhere with this story. Although, yes, we went on a journey to find spots. It just felt like we were just stuck in a rut a little bit. We felt like we were just there where we didn't really elevate when we should have in this movie. And a lot of stuff just kind of happened without any real consequence or thought. There was a lot of characters I felt were very kind of misplaced and very just chucked in there. Especially Tracy, the foreign exchange student. I really don't know why she was in that movie. Whether she was there just to be a kind of go-between and break up the dialect between like Japanese and English, and she was kind of the middleman, I don't know, but we already had the translator for that. She was just a really odd character. She just appeared, and it didn't really have any rhyme or reason as to why she was totally invested in this story. I know she had the investment to Nutmeg, and she was kind of pro-dog, but the whole kind of weird forced love relationship between her and Atari just didn't work. She just felt like she was there for, I don't know, that's the thing, I don't know why she was there. She was just there for the sake of being there. And that's kind of the common theme throughout this movie, I found, is that they just did stuff for the sake of doing stuff. As with a little bit of a spoiler here, so skip forward like 10 seconds because quite a big spoiler, is that Spots and Duke are brothers. That just felt very much like, yeah, we can do it for the sake of doing it. And not to repeat myself too much, but yeah, it just felt like this story just did stuff for the sake of doing stuff. It didn't really have a lot of consequences, or it didn't really feel like it thought out its story whilst moving forward. And another thing I wanted to mention really quickly is that although this film has a really talented voice cast, you've got Bill Murray, Bryan Cranston, Jeff Goldblum, Edward Norton, Frances McDormand. There is so many to mention. Or Yoko Ono's in there as well. There's a lot of characters in this. A lot of actors in this movie. Really, really strong actors, and I did feel for the most part a lot of those voice actors were wasted. Not so much the main characters as in Bryan Cranston, who had a lot of screen time, and also Edward Norton, but I felt like the additional members of the pack, such as Jeff Goldblum and Bill Murray, they just felt like wasted. They are two of the finest like comic actors in the world, and they just felt like additional characters. They could have had a lot more dialogue. They could have had a lot more input in the story. It just felt, again, like it felt like they were just there for the sake of being there. I think there was a lot that Wes Anderson could have done with those additional characters and those actors, having them on board on this movie, and they just felt wasted. There was loads of opportunity for him to be in there as well. For me, the one where I would have liked to have seen the most kind of side character kind of story arc is where Chief and Atari are separated from the rest of the pack, and they go through that kind of incinerator, that furnace thing. We just got like a couple of throwaway lines, which was fine, but we could have had a really nice kind of offshoot of the story there, and given these really kind of comedic legends a lot of scope to kind of just roam free, if you'll pardon the kind of really bad dog pun, and, you know, really kind of grown and done a lot in this movie, and it's just a little bit frustrating. And other than that, as I said, that is my review all wrapped up of Isle of Dogs. I enjoyed this movie. It was a really nice ride. It just did have its flaws, and I know it's a Wes Anderson film. I know they're very stylistic. They're almost very niche. Even though they have a mainstream kind of audience, they are still very niche films, and maybe that's kind of my problem with this film, is that I don't know, I don't want to say I didn't get it, because I did. Maybe I just didn't, it didn't connect with me in the way that I thought it was going to. But as we all know, film is subjective, so I'd love to know your thoughts, as always, down in the comments below. Have you seen Isle of Dogs? Let me know what you thought about it, as always, down in those comments below. If you did enjoy this video and you want to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Drop.